Hello everybody and welcome. This is Father Chris from Spirit of Christ Church, and this is our Catholic Conversations for Wednesday, May 13th. And I thought it would be nice to take the opportunity to kind of bring you up to date on what's going on here at the church, how we've been dealing with the COVID-19 situation, how we've been adjusting, and what we continue to do going forward. As you know, we have been under very severe restrictions for literally the last 2 months, and we've been unable to have public masses. We've been celebrating masses by live stream, and we've been celebrating daily mass as well by live stream. It's worked out fairly well, and we've gotten a lot of very good responses and very good comments from you, appreciating the effort and appreciating being able to bring the mass to you in your own homes. I've heard from people that have said they never really went to daily mass, and since the live streaming, they've been watching daily mass every day. So that's really terrific, and that's great for our spiritual growth. We're all facing difficult times, of course, and it calls for a lot of adjusting and a lot of flying by the seat of our pants sometimes, trying to deal with the changing landscape that we live in right now. I wanted to share with you just a few thoughts. As you know, this past week, the Archdiocese of Denver announced the resumption of public masses. It's not quite that simple. And that statement of public masses is not what we think of. We're not going back to mass as we saw it in January or December. But we are adapting here and able to open up things just a little bit to where we're able to experience more the beauty of the liturgy, and most importantly, the reception of Holy Communion. Here at Spirit of Christ, as you know, we have an empty church right now. We've kind of gotten used to that, but we don't want to be used to that. We want to be able to see our church filled with celebrating parishioners and singing and praying and children and laughter and our wonderful older folks who are so devout and so faithful to our church. So over the course of this presentation on Catholic Conversations, I'd like to share with you exactly what we are doing and how we are going forward. Here we are at the altar, and the altar, of course, is the very center of Catholic life in our church. It's the center of the parish because all of our celebration of the liturgy and the Eucharist revolves around the altar, and it is where we receive the body and blood of Christ. So looking forward to our going forward with masses, I'd like to explain those to you right now. First of all, I just want to assure everyone of the fact that we have been following the guidelines of the Archdiocese of Denver. We have no other options than to do just that. The Archdiocese has been in contact with the governor's office on a weekly basis, and then they send to us updates and notifications and guidelines on how to proceed. One of the requirements is that we follow our local authorities. Now, for us here at Spirit of Christ, that means Jefferson County. That is who directs us regarding situations involving gatherings, involving how we can bring people together, what kind of guidelines are given regarding the wearing of masks, social distancing, etc. Those guidelines may change and may vary depending on the county, because counties do vary as far as their population, the number of cases, and how the COVID-19 has affected them. So we are limited as of right now to 10 in a gathering. We cannot go around that. And that means that masses here will be extremely limited for the near future. We hope that that changes. And believe me, as soon as it does, we will adapt and we'll be able to open up and to expand our services. That is our hope, our goal, and our promise to all of you. First of all, let me explain the Mass schedule. Beginning this weekend, May 16th and 17th, we will return to our normal schedule. We'll resume the Saturday night, and then the Masses on Sunday will resume as normal at their regular times. We will live stream 5 of the 6 Masses. The only Mass that will not be live streamed will be the 7 a.m. Sunday morning Mass, because nobody's up that early anyway. But the other 5 Masses will be live streamed. At the Masses, we will be able to bring together 10 people with a little bit of leeway. We may go a little bit above that number because of the size of our church. And we will bring those people here for Mass on site. We will be utilizing some other options. Let me explain those to you. One is we're allowed to use other large spaces in our church. So here at Spirit of Christ, we will utilize Spirit Center and the St. John the 23rd Hall downstairs for people to be present at Mass. They'll be able to watch on a television screen, the live stream itself, and then they will participate in the reception of the Eucharist at the Mass time. So that will allow us to have 30 or more people present at Mass at each Mass. Just to let you know, as a side note too, ministers of the Mass do not count against the number. So the priest, the deacon, the musicians, Eucharistic ministers, the lector, and the people in the sound booth, and altar servers, if they are present at the Mass, do not count against the total of 10. So just to let you know of that. We will also be expanding beginning Monday, May 18th. We will be expanding our daily Mass. We'll be offering 2 daily Masses a day, one at 9 and one at noon. Father Adam and I will both celebrate those Masses, and it will give us another opportunity to bring the Eucharist to you, because those Masses will also be available for up to 10 people and up for signing up to attend those. And we'd encourage you to consider that option as well. Those Masses on daily Mass will be celebrated here in the church. They will not be in the chapel. That affords us the greater leeway to spread people out and to observe those distancing rules. As far as the parking lot goes, we will be observing parking lot Masses. That is a misnomer. That is a term that doesn't really define what we're saying, what we're doing. What it means is we will invite people to come at the times of the Masses, those regularly scheduled times. They can come and sit in the parking lot in their car. They can watch the live stream from the church on their phone or whatever device they have. And then at the conclusion of that Mass, communion will be brought out and distributed to the people that are present in the parking lot. There's some restrictions there. We'd ask that people, when they receive communion, they still have their masks. They don't exit their cars. Don't congregate in the parking lot. Make it very safe and very secure for everybody. What we will do is we will distribute communion on the north side of the church, the little sidewalk that exits right by the chapel, between the chapel and the office. So we'd ask that all the people all drive around the church and come in a line to that spot, and then we will distribute communion there. We think that's the most efficient and best way to maneuver the traffic through our parking lot and enable people to exit in a very safe way. So this option, again, will be available starting this weekend as well, at all the Masses except the 7 a.m. Sunday, because that 7 a.m. Sunday Mass will not be live streamed, so there won't be the availability to observe it out in the parking lot. We'd ask that you too be very respectful of Eucharistic tradition and theology, and that you really only come to receive communion if you also attend the Mass. Sitting in your car in the parking lot is attending the Mass. Don't rush over at the end of the Mass just to receive communion. That's not very good theology and not a very respectful way to approach the Eucharist. So it calls us all to really invest, to really make sure that we're all in with regard to the celebration of the Eucharist. So we hope that it works and that it works well for everybody. Thank you to our Eucharistic ministers who will be helping us in this endeavor. And also we hope our Knights of Columbus will also be willing and ready to assist us with the traffic control to keep everybody safe out in the parking lot. So look for those as well. Those situations, the celebration of the Masses here, utilizing the extra auxiliary space, and the parking lot will begin this weekend, May 16th, 17th. And then the daily Masses, the 2, will be celebrated on May 18th, beginning May 18th. Just one side note, because we're adding that extra daily Mass, we have extra opportunities for Mass intentions suddenly available. So if you'd like to call the parish office and perhaps schedule a Mass intention for one of those, that extra Mass on the daily basis, please do so, and we'd appreciate you doing that. I'd like to take the opportunity as well to explain to you the sign-up process we're going to use for those who would like to attend the Masses here at Spirit of Christ. This applies to the Sunday Masses. It also applies to the daily Masses. What we'd ask, and first of all, is that you should all receive a flock note from the parish. It should be this week of May 11th. That flock note will really do a good job of explaining everything to you about how to sign up for Mass. What you'll do is get your name on a list. You're stating your preference and your desire to attend the Mass here at Spirit of Christ. And we'd ask you to make a preference, perhaps pick the 1 or 2 Masses that you'd be most interested in attending. We simply have to fill those up, and remember, we're limited to that 10 or slightly more right now. That may change, that may grow, and that may expand, hopefully. But for now, once we fill those up, we'll just go first come, first serve. There will be no choosing of any kind other than just how you sign up. We hope that you're able to attend the Mass, or perhaps you might be called and another Mass will be offered to you. And we hope that you have that flexibility to be able to attend a variety of Masses here. And just remember as well that the daily Mass option is there as well, and you can put that as one of your preferences, perhaps. And we also, at the Masses, remember, use the auxiliary sites, those extra sites that allow us to expand the number of people that we have available for each Mass. So please do really check out the flock note. It should explain everything to you about how the process will work. If you need to call the parish office, please do so. There are some people that's just their easiest way to communicate. For some other people, that's their only way. They don't have computers or don't have the technology to be able to be tied into the internet. And that's fine as well. We will definitely put you on the list, and you will not be penalized by calling in personally and requesting a specific Mass or a situation. I want to take a little bit of time, too, to explain to you a little bit of how the Mass might look a little different when you attend. Liturgically, there are some changes that are necessitated because of this situation. Some of these you actually witnessed in those few weeks right before we had our complete shutdown, things we were already doing at Mass. Things like we're not celebrating the public sign of peace. We ask that at the reception of communion that it be only in the hand and not on the tongue, and that you wear masks when you come to church. We also ask that after Mass or before Mass, there not be any congregating in the vestibule. We're still supposed to observe, of course, the social distancing. So we'd ask that you actually depart immediately after Mass. The priests will also not be going into the vestibule to greet people at the end of Mass. Also, just a reminder, just an assurance to all of you that we will also, after each Mass, we clean the area where people have sat. We wash everything down so everything is clean for the next Mass. This involves a little bit of effort, but it's something we need to do, and that's what we will do as well. We'd also ask, and this is a bit touchy, but I'm going to share this with you. We'd also ask that if possible, when you come to Mass, presently when you're in the church coming to Mass, you minimize the use of the restroom. We're not closing the restrooms, but they have to, again, be cleaned, and that puts a big burden on our staff. So we'd ask that you go at home before you come, I guess is the way to put it, as my mother used to say when I was little, but we'd ask that you cooperate in that as well. There are a few other things you may notice. One of the instructions, again, and many of these guidelines are coming directly from the Archdiocese of Denver to us. One is that at the celebration of Mass, the priest, the deacon, the lector, and the musician do not wear masks. The lector does not read a Mass when they read. The musicians do not wear Mass when they sing. At other times they can. The priest and deacon at no point wear Mass. So the priest will not wear a Mass when they come out to give communion, just to let you know and understand that. Also, with the distribution of communion at Mass here in the church or in the auxiliary spaces, communion will be brought to you. We will not form a communion line. Again, the line would have to be 6 foot distanced by each person. So communion is brought to the individuals in the pew. With our limited numbers, it makes it fairly easy to be able to do that on the part of the ministers. A few other, those other observations, those other things we observe and that we've been observing will be in place. The not saying the sign of peace and receiving the communion in the hands. We'd encourage you in those two. Many people that come to the Sunday Mass will be sitting with family. Husbands and wives will be sitting together. Families will be sitting with their kids. There's a safety and a comfort level sitting with those you know and that you share a lot of space with. So we won't try to distance families or couples from each other. We'll leave that up to you how you do that. We'd ask that you sit in the areas that are designated. But things like holding hands during the Our Father, if you feel comfortable with your own family, that's perfectly fine. So we leave that up to you and to your own discretion. Well, once again, I want to thank you all for tuning in and for listening to all of this information. I know there's a lot to give, but we do want to impart a lot of information to you and to make sure that you are apprised of what we're doing here at Spirit of Christ. Just a reminder or two, our parish office remains open. We're open from 9:30 to 3 each day. Our office is staffed. We're operating our staff at about half capacity. We're following the guidelines of the state in that. Also, to let you know, too, that adoration has resumed on Friday. It will be held in our parish chapel as normal. and will be available again during those office hours from 9:30 to 3. And we'd encourage you to come and celebrate that beautiful devotion of Adoration of the Blessed Sacrament in our parish chapel. Lastly, I did want to mention the resumption of public confessions. We will be resuming confession on this Saturday, that is May 16th. We will resume the confessions at our normal time, Saturday from 3:30 to 4:45. The only difference is the confessions will be celebrated outdoors. We will celebrate them in the little courtyard between the church and the Daily Mass Chapel. Father Adam and I will both be available to hear those confessions. Once again, we'd ask and be very requesting of you that you do observe again the masks, the social distancing, not to congregate, etc. So the line will have to form in such a way as to not be too close together for social distancing. But we feel we can offer that, and we'd love to offer that to you, that resumption of that very important sacramental celebration as well. So this concludes everything, and we hope that you're all doing well. We miss you terribly. We miss having our church be filled with happy people that are celebrating and sharing together. We look forward and we pray for that day when we can do just that. So that's all our prayer, is to be able to be together again here at Spirit of Christ. Thank you very much, and God bless you all and your families.